The night was unnaturally cold when Johnny Blaze rode through Blackridge City. His motorcycle rumbled like a warning, its flame barely flickering. Something was draining the heat from the air itself. As he entered an old alleyway known as Widow's Row, he noticed the lanterns trembling, as if they feared what lurked in the shadows. A faint whisper curled around him, soft like silk, but sharp like a needle. "Another soul on the road." Johnny stopped the bike. The alley stretched impossibly long behind him, twisting like a living maze. When he turned around, he saw her for the first time, the Shadow Widow. Draped in torn black veils, her body floated without touching the ground, and 8 smoky arms emerged behind her like ghostly legs. She didn't attack, not yet. She only stared, as if memorizing him. Johnny felt Zarathos rumble inside him, recognizing the presence of an ancient predator. Before he could transform, the alley vanished into darkness. A sound like bones snapping echoed, and the Shadow Widow disappeared. Johnny lit his flames again, but the alley had returned to normal. Someone or something had marked him, and the war had only begun. The next day, the police reported a series of strange attacks. People were found unconscious with spiderweb shadows etched on their skin. They weren't dead, but something had been taken from them. Hope, emotion, willpower. They stared blankly at the wall, murmuring the same phrase, "She is coming." Johnny visited the victims, and each time he stepped closer, his rider sense burned hotter. The Shadow Widow wasn't just haunting Blackridge, she was feeding. That evening, Johnny returned to Widow's Row. When he ignited the spirit of vengeance, the world peeled open like a rotting curtain. He stood in a reflection of the alley, but corrupted. Webs made of darkness stretched from building to building. Shadows dripped like liquid. The Shadow Widow appeared again, now closer. Her face was split into 2 expressions, sorrow on one side, hunger on the other. "Leave this city," she hissed. "Its souls belong to me." Ghost Rider raised his chain, flames roaring. "Not while I'm breathing." Her 8 shadow arms shot toward him, slicing through walls like mist. Ghost Rider blocked with his hellfire chain, but the moment they clashed, he felt her power digging into his essence, trying to bind him just like the others. This time, she didn't vanish. She left a message burned into the ground. "At midnight, the nest awakens." The countdown had begun. Johnny traced the widow's energy to an abandoned underground rail system beneath the old city. As he descended, he felt the temperature drop and the darkness thicken, as though he were walking into the belly of a monstrous creature. He found the nest. Corpses? No. Bodies, hundreds of them dangling from shadow threads, still alive but trapped in suspended nightmares. They whispered in unison, chanting the widow's name. Ghost Rider's flames illuminated the cavern, and then the Shadow Widow descended from above like a queen of darkness. "You shouldn't have come, Rider," she said, with a voice that trembled the air. "You cannot burn what has no form." Ghost Rider lashed his fire chain upward. She dissolved into smoke, appearing behind him. She struck, and he felt her shadow claws tear at his soul directly. It wasn't pain in the physical sense. It was a cold emptiness invading his core. But Ghost Rider grabbed one of her arms, igniting his hellfire grip. She shrieked, finally hurt.
The cavern trembled. The nest began collapsing. Ghost Rider destroyed as many shadow threads as he could, freeing the prisoners, but the widow retreated into a deeper darkness, whispering, "Midnight approaches, and with it, the feast." The city was running out of time.
Midnight fell like a shroud over Blackridge. Shadows crawled across the ground, gathering at the center of the city, the old clock tower. Johnny arrived seconds before the Shadow Widow re-emerged, now towering over the streets, feeding on the collective fear rising from her earlier victims. Her 8 arms stretched like enormous spectral limbs, anchoring themselves into the buildings as she pulled herself into the physical world. Johnny transformed into Ghost Rider, flaming skull blazing bright enough to cut through the darkness. He rode vertically up the side of the tower, hellfire burning the bricks beneath the wheels. The Shadow Widow lashed at him, her arms slicing through solid steel. The clock tower's bells shattered, ringing through the night. Ghost Rider leapt from the tower, chains swirling, striking her face with a burst of hellfire. She screamed, a sound sharp enough to crack windows. "You're strong," she said through fractured breaths, "but you burn alone. I devour together." Shadow clones spilled from her body, swarming Ghost Rider like an ocean of living nightmares. They clawed at him, threatening to suffocate the flame. Zarathos roared from inside him. Ghost Rider unleashed a certainer blast of hellfire, disintegrating the swarm. Then he saw her core, glowing inside her chest like a dying star. He had one chance left. The Shadow Widow dove toward him with all 8 arms, a final strike meant to impale and consume him. Ghost Rider revved his flaming motorcycle, launching himself directly at her. The world turned into streaks of black and orange as the two collided mid-air. He wrapped his hellfire chain around her core and ignited everything he had left. The explosion lit the entire sky. Fire versus shadow. The widow writhed, her form unraveling like burning silk. "No!" she screamed. "Without me, their fears will rise again!" Ghost Rider pulled tighter. "That's why I exist." With one final surge of hellfire, her core shattered. Her massive body collapsed into thousands of flickering shards of darkness, dissolving into the air. Silence fell. The flames on Ghost Rider dimmed as Johnny Blaze stood where the monster once loomed. The victims across the city awoke slowly, freed from her influence, but exhausted. Johnny looked toward the horizon. He knew the Shadow Widow wasn't born from evil. It was born from the abandoned fear of thousands of souls, a reminder that darkness always grows where hope is ignored. He ignited his bike and rode into the night. The city was safe. For now. But the shadows were never truly gone.